I'm really very excited about it.
Did you, having read this, was it confusing or?
Well, I would say, like I said, I was a big X-Men fan. I gave it up, and again, even though you have my previous writing endeavors, when you returned to X Factor, when you returned to X Factor, a friend of mine actually contacted me, and I got back into comics based on that. And when the X Factor issue came up in Messiah Complex, I started reading all the other X-Men books, and it made me feel, and this one makes me feel, just like I did when I walked away from the X-Men, which was right around the time Chris Claremont returned, which is like, I'm always going to be excited, and it's never going to make sense.
Yeah.
I want to have an advertising campaign for X Factor going, X Factor, we make sense. Right? But they, because they threw away that idea along with my other one of X-Men Legacy. What the fuck?
When I went to the comic book store to buy an issue of X Factor, I mean, I was so shut off, I didn't know anything about Messiah Complex. When the X Factor issue came up, they were like, X Factor sold out, and I was like, fucking A. That feels to me like a 15-year fight that I just helped win.
It feels to me like the store didn't order enough.
It's all about the bottom line.
No, that's cool, man. No.
I just really like you.
I actually never know how to react when they say, X Factor is sold out, because part of me is going, yeah! And part of me is going, damn, they underestimated it again. So, I'm always kind of like mixed feelings on it. Mike Harry, by the way, great guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely great guy. Brilliant writer, and I just, I love the stuff that he's doing.
Now, I know back in the day it was an issue being part of all the crossovers, the editorial decisions on that, and now you're part of the Messiah Complex. How do you feel about that?
A lot better about it, because with the original, back in those days, it really seemed like every 3 to 4 months, oops, time for another crossover, and I had to, whatever I was working on, I had to throw it aside and make room for the crossover. With Messiah Complex, I had 6 months notice before anything. So that's a lot of time to get all my ducks in a row to thread setup for Messiah Complex in the book, to make sure that the storyline that I'm working on at that point ends cleanly so we can go into Messiah Complex. And I loved the big summit we had, the get-together. Which is the first time that I've been to an X Summit in years and years and years and years. I mean, so it was nuts.
So do they come to you and they're like, we want Multiple Man to be one of the guys at the center of this whole thing? Do they say that?
Or did you laugh?
Or did you No, because when I realized, because there was a part of me, I know I'm a fucking geek, but I was like, Multiple Man's right in the middle of it all, man, yeah.
They actually, there was a certain degree of groundwork that had been done before the X meeting, because you got to. You can't take a half a dozen writers, put them in a room, and say, "Okay, guys, we got nothing. What do you want to do?" Because you're going to be there for a month. So the editors had the editors had worked with 1 or 2 key writers to come up with some basic beats, and they had decided that Multiple Man and Layla were going to be smack in the middle of everything.
That's awesome to me, that it's like, there's a boring guy and we want to kill him, to like, now you write him, so, I'm a big fan, but it's like, now you did such a good job, let's put him in the fucking thick of it.
I was very pleased with it.
Me too, man, me too.
Yeah, all right.
All right, now let's move on to talk about RASL #1 by Jeff Smith, author of Bone. What do you guys think about this?
It's a crazy first issue. I'm definitely on board. I love Jeff Smith, I love Bone, and this is so different. It's like the opposite of Bone.
Yeah, it's like Jumper.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's actually, first off, Jeff Smith, I'm there.
Yeah.
Unquestionably, and I love about the fact this is nothing like Bone.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't like Bone. I loved that series. But it's it's nice that Jeff isn't it would be easy for Jeff to go, okay, now I'm going to do another fantasy piece about another, like, fun, fuzzy little creature that we can make toys of. And instead he went in the completely opposite direction.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just thought this was brilliant.
It's absolutely great. It's a great issue. My quibble with it, which is a very, very silly quibble, is there's not enough of it, and the next issue doesn't come out until May.
May?
Yeah.
No!
That being said, I would definitely say pick up.
Yeah,
Definitely pick it up.
it's black and white, which is nice. It's you don't get a chance to.
It's colors.
Yeah.
It's a nice little break in the action. It's fun to do.
Love shapes though. All right, let's move on to talk about Crime Bible #5, which is the last issue of this limited series. This is another awesome series. That being said, I have no idea how it ended. I don't want to ruin anything.
Well, it ends with like a one-panel thing. There's no to be continued. There's no like.
The end.
There's no the end. They're like, see what happens in Trinity or whatever. It's like, this is how we're ending it. It's almost as if someone ripped out the last page.
Here's the other problem with it, is right after the last page, which is this one panel that doesn't have the end or to be continued or anything, there's a preview for another book, so it goes right into these other pages, so I kept reading that, and I was like, wait, no.
Yeah, Superman, what are you doing here?
Wouldn't it be cool if they published a comic book and in the binding had a little strip down the side that actually made it look like the last page of the book? So you can screw with the minds of every freaking comic book reader. And they got to go like, wait a minute!
Wait, why?
My book is damaged! And actually, no, then the retailers won't be thrilled. Never mind.
You're lying at the comic book store.
Do you hate us?
Yeah.
All right, that's it for the staff! All right, let's move on to our next section. It's my favorite section because it's the section you guys make up. It's your audience questions, and for that, we're going to bring out Booth Bag!
Hey, you're welcome. All right, so here are your audience questions. This was written for you, but I think you could all answer it. What is your favorite Hulk story?
That I've written?
That you've written or anybody else?
Future Imperfect, beyond question. I love the way this, I mean, whenever I look at any story of mine, it's kind of like, more often than not, it's like 60% of what I wanted it to be, 70%, and I don't mean because of the artist, I mean because, of my own limitations, and any one of, half a dozen reasons. Future Imperfect is perfect. It's exactly what I wanted it to be, and a large measure of that is George Perez, who was just absolutely, fantastic. When you've got George covering your back, you can basically say, double page splash, Rick Jones's trophy room. The following things are in it: the Silver Surfer's board, Thor's hammer, Captain America's shield, and Wolverine's skeleton. Anything else you want to put in is fine. And you get this two-page splash and going, holy crap! it's just, it's fantastic. I mean, George is a freaking genius. And I would say just, in terms of the work experience, the final product, definitely Future Imperfect.
Anything with the Pantheon in it. Love them. I wonder what they're doing now. Maybe they're watching TV. Also, your last issue really sticks out in my mind. That rainbow over the funeral was really, and it was a beautifully drawn issue.
Yeah, Hubert was brilliant. He
Great.
did a fantastic job with it.
Let's get the next question.
Yep. Okay, what super villain do you think would make a better superhero, and why?
Not to undercut this question, but I hate when that happens.
You guys
really, yeah, and I hate whoever asked that question.
They left their name.
No. Yeah.
I also hate Christmas, and that's what you're naming.
What just happened, Alex?
I went to a very dark place.
You did.
Oh, it was just a little darker right now. That's where I was. It was
You hate because it's like.
it's just if you're going to take a villain, make it a villain. Don't, there's something to be said for the redemption storyline.
Well, wait clean.
There are exceptions that prove the rule. There are things that, good stories that can be done. Okay, but generally speaking, generally speaking, I would say if you're going to have somebody evil, certainly make them realistic, make them conflicted, but I just don't like that every villain has to become a hero and then they're going to betray them and they're going to come back to the side of good and they're going to ping pong back and forth.
Fin Fang Food. Can't go wrong with a gigantic superhero dragon wearing purple shorts.
All right.